To demonstrate the GlassRenu professional grade scratch removal system, we're scratching the surface of this car windshield with a piece of volcanic lava rock. To ensure a proper demo, we are going to add multiple scratches. Whenever beginning a repair, it's always a good idea to circle the damaged area from the reverse side of the glass. To do this, use either a dry erase pen or a grease pencil. This will act as a visual guide throughout the repair process. Before starting the repair, it's important that you first set up the tool. As the tool is stored with the handle in the back position, first set the position that you would like the handle in during the repair, and then tighten down the thumb screws. Now that the handle is set, the next step will be to insert the backing pad. Once the backing pad has been inserted into the chuck, tighten it down with the supplied chuck key. Finally, select your starting Renew disc. In this case, we're starting with a black Renew disc. We recommend that you start by putting the grinder against the glass and then starting up the grinder. Note, for demonstration purposes, we've inserted a counter in the lower right-hand corner. During the repair process, you will note that the Renew disc will fill up with glass stock or glass dust from the process. It is important that you remove this. Simply take your rasp file and lightly smack it against the surface of the pad. We recommend that you monitor the surface temperature of the glass. Throughout the repair process, use the supplied non-contact laser temperature gun in the lower left-hand corner of the GlassRenu case. When starting to grind, it is important that you move in a slow and methodical manner, covering the entire area that you wish to repair. Now that the damage is gone, we'll move from the grinding to the pre-polish step. We will select a pre-polished disc. You want to ensure that the temperature of the surface of the glass is well within safe limits as set forth in the GlassRenu scratch removal manual. To do this, use the supplied non-contact laser temperature gun. Using the pre-polished disc, we'll now go over the entire repaired area. It is important that we feather it all together and get it to a uniform haze. As with the grinding disc, the surface of the pre-polished disc will also clog up with glass stock. It is important that you remove this as well. When pre-polishing, it's important that you go over the entire area you worked with the prior disc. This ensures that we get a uniform haze and a uniform surface to be polished back to clarity. Also note that during the pre-polish phase, we're expanding the area of the grind slightly. This will help better feather the transition from the area we've been grinding on to the virgin unground glass. Now that the pre-polishing has been completed, we'll move on to the final stage, or the polishing stage. It is important when polishing that you start with a roughed up disc. To do this, use the file. Next, make sure to shake up your polishing solution to get all the polish into suspension. Then, we will simply mist it onto the surface of the Renew disc. When starting out polishing, it's important that you start out slow. You want to spread the polish on the surface of the glass to ensure that you don't sling polish all over the place. Throughout the polishing process, you will need to reapply several mists of polish from time to time. This is a good time to re-rough up the surface of the felt. When polishing, you never want a saturated pad, but rather slightly damp. Several sprays from the mister should suffice. When polishing, it's important that you polish the entire area. This is where the circling of the damage comes into play. As with previous steps, polishing can continue to heat up the glass, so it is important that you continue to monitor the surface temperature of the glass that you are working on. Throughout the polishing process, you will need to reapply several mists of polish from time to time. When removing scratches from glass, it's important that you move in a slow and methodical manner, making sure that you cover the entire damaged area. Periodically check your progress. When polishing, you never want a saturated pad, but rather slightly damp. Several sprays from the mister should suffice. As you can note here, we're almost done, but not quite. What do? Polish some more. When polishing, it's important that you polish from the outside in. Working from the transition area to the center will ensure that you'll have uniform clarity across the repair. The surface of the glass looks pretty good from just about every angle except one. To fix this problem, all we'll do is go back and polish one more time. It is impossible to over-polish glass. Make sure that you've polished it to perfect clarity. Here you can clearly see that the damage has been removed. In this before and after shot, you can see how the repair process works. For more information on the GlassRenu scratch removal process or the family of GlassRenu scratch removal products, please check out our website at www.glassrenu.com.